Assalamu alaikum. To initiate with the majestic name of Allah Almighty, the Omnipotent, the Omnipresent. I am Maria Raza from APS 7 Streams. Today, this is History's Lesson 2 of Class 8. At the end of today's lesson, dear learners will be able to understand the impacts of voyages of discoveries. They will be able to perceive the Renaissance, the age of enlightenment. The topics that we are going to discuss in today's session are famous explorers, Marco Polo and his achievements, impacts of voyages of discoveries, Renaissance, the age of enlightenment, in terms of art, science, and architecture. It's about time to check the engrossment level of attentive learners that out of the previous week lecture, how much knowledge, how much information they have retained. So the first question that I'm going to ask is, what was the rule of thumb which I suggested as reasons for exploration? Yes, that was 3 G's. The first G stands for glory. Second G stands for, yes, that was gold. And the third G for God. Okay. Whenever you listen about the discoverer of America, which personality clicks your mind? For sure, Christopher Columbus. And the last question is that who was the European explorer who traveled to Asia in 15th century? Flashback the ideas of last lesson. Yes, that was Vasco da Gama. Is in the previous lecture I said that exploration began even in the 11th century. So this were the explorers like they are Leif Erikson, Marco Polo, Christopher Columbus, John Cabot, Amerigo Vespucci, Vasco Nunes de Balboa, Ponce de Leon, and Hernando Cortes. The explorer that we are going to discuss today is Marco Polo. He was born in 1254 in Venice, Italy. He traveled from Europe to Asia, especially to China, between 1271 to 1295. He stayed there for 17 years and he was inspiration for Christopher Columbus. He learned many new languages during his trips. He mentioned his experience in his books, The Million and the Travels of Marco Polo. There was exchange of religion and ideas. Is Kublai Khan of China, as he was religious lover, so once he asked Marco Polo to bring priests from Europe to China in order to know about Christianity. Moreover, the credit of introducing paper money goes to Marco Polo. Marco Polo mentioned in his book that once Kublai Khan he used the bark of tree for the exchange of goods. Onwards, paper was used in terms of transaction. Now we are leading to the topic of impacts of voyages of discoveries. First of all, the Europeans, in the form of explorers, they put step to different corners, different continents of the world. So exploration of new continents, it was the result. Another impact we can say that stepping there in the new continents, they expanded their territories in a way that they just took those areas, for instance, Newfoundland, West Indies, Mexico, Canada, Florida, America, etc. So the wealth present there, they transferred those wealth from their European colonies. European colonies means the newly found land to Europe. Besides, there was exchange of language, culture, religion, and ideas. And we cannot deny the technological advancement, particularly in the design of ship and compass. There were discoveries in the field of science, geography, and cartography. Cartography is the technical term for map making. Now all this, the impacts of exploration, just gave birth to the Enlightenment, to the age of Enlightenment. in the form of science, art, and architecture. And we just give it the name of Renaissance. Renaissance is the French term which means rebirth, revival. Enlightenment is the state of intellectual awareness. In 14th century, let us say from 1350 to 1600, this was the period of boom in means of revival of learning and culture. This was the period of science, art, philosophy, medicine, mathematics, and freedom of speech. When we listen about the words freedom of speech, then we quickly just gaze that yeah, something is about writing. So this period gave birth to the laudable authors, to the versatile thinkers, to the fact-loving scientists, and to the marvelous artists. Besides, there was the reformation of Catholic Church. Once in 16th century, King Martin Luther, he questioned different practices going on in church. That the practices that were going on in church were those practices really relevant to the teachings of Bible. This was the step, this was the event that reformed the Catholic Church, and as a result, a new form of Christianity came into being that was the Protestantism. The next is Renaissance art. Mona Lisa. Everybody must have listened these terms. Mona Lisa is the masterpiece of Leonardo da Vinci. The man in the center is the painter. He painted The Last Supper and Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa is considered to be Leonardo's one of the masterpieces. Is the pyramid shown in the picture is the pose. This is something which makes this picture really unusual. Beside this, the dark shade around the eyes, the quirky smile, and the mystifying glaze really makes this portrait something laudable. And Michelangelo, another Italian painter, he painted the Sistine Chapel ceiling from 1508 to 1512. What is the quality of this portrait? That it consisted of different portions, different chambers. Each chamber described something, any story, any event. Like one chamber described the creation of sun and the moon. Another portion manifested the creation of Adam and Eve. Another chamber just described the Abraham and sacrifice of his son. Okay, another Italian painter by the name of Raphael, he learned from Leonardo da Vinci and painted the School of Athens. Now it's about time to go towards the Renaissance science. There were discoveries of new technologies. Can you speculate what the first picture is about? Yes, it's about printing press. Printing press was invented by goldsmith Gutenberg. This invention just gave birth to printing revolution, and the mass communication totally changed the structure of the society. The second picture is about telescope. Those days, everybody was curious about the space. So in order to remove the curiosity, an Italian astronomer by the name of Galileo, he invented telescope. He also invented the thermometer, which is manifested in the third picture. And compass is also one of his invention, which just helped in finding the new civilization. Subsequently, there was development of new system of astronomy. Like Johannes Kepler, a German astronomer, he described that the orbits around the sun, they are not in circle in shape, rather they are elliptical, and he mentioned it in his laws of planetary motion. Furthermore, Isaac Newton. Yes, everybody must be familiar with the fall of apples on the ground, that is theories of gravity, and he used the theories of Ioannis Kepler and on the basis of his own mathematical formulas and made his own theory of planetary motion and to describe the concept of optics. The third point stating the journey from gunpowder to cannon. Gunpowder was invented in China in 9th century. Italians, the European explorers, they started traveling to China for the purpose of silk and spice. During the Renaissance period, after their observation, they used that gunpowder and invented the cannons. The last is the Renaissance architecture. Renaissance architecture had some distinct features. That buildings were built in the form of square or triangular shapes. Besides arches, domes, windows, and pillars were introduced. Whereas these concepts were not prevalent in Greek or Roman. Rather, they were in the favor of Doric order, or the second one is exhibited on the slide, is the Ionic order. Now this is the time to jot down the questions. Question number 1, describe the achievements of Vasco da Gama and Marco Polo. Number 2, compare the architectural achievements of Renaissance with the Greek and Roman architecture. The last one, write the meaning of any 7 difficult words other than the words given in glossary from page number 5 to page number 8. Dear enthusiastic learners, I'm looking forward to having your responsible assignments. Wishing you best of luck. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.